Here are 10 of the top things to do in Hanoi, Vietnam. Hanoi is our first stop on a 12-day trip I'm doing with my parents who are visiting me in Vietnam. So after showing them around Ho Chi Minh City for a couple of days and introducing them to some of our team members at the Teacher TEFL Academy, we took a quick 2-hour flight up to Hanoi and headed into the city. Which brings us to the first thing to do in Hanoi, the famous train street. Okay, at Train Street, so gonna go sit down and watch the train go by. Where did the bottle caps go? Ah, there's one.
Another one.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
Quite intense,
That
eh?
was intense.
With the bottle cap.
Wow. Okay.
Got another one.
Oh, awesome, thank you. Okay, so here at the train street, and we just saw the train go past. Quite fun, quite intense with it raging past there. I actually saw on one of our Ninja Teacher alumni's TikToks, they moved up to Hanoi to teach English. They've started a TikTok or Instagram account that this is a better location to come to. And this location is where you can actually walk up and down the tracks. Higher up on the tracks, they don't actually let you walk and find your own place. So you have to wait at the entrance, which is blocked, and then a cafe owner brings you to their cafe. But at this location, I'll leave a link, is where you can actually walk on the street and choose your own cafe. And that guy over there, he was really nice. This cafe has been a cool little one to sit at and check it out. What do you think of the trains?
Very intense.
Very intense, and I'm amazed. If you just look up, you can see people live here. They've got their washing on that balcony up there. Someone's got 3 little cages
Yeah, with birds.
in them, and you can see they've got little pink blankets.
Yeah.
Which probably, I don't know how they manage with the train. So it's amazing that there's these little cafes that people actually live here. This is
Yeah.
a neighborhood where people live.
It's actually my first time coming to the train street. I lived in Hanoi for nearly a year when I first moved to Vietnam, but I didn't come out to the train street. It wasn't a popular tourist destination back then, as far as I know. But it's really nice. It's got the charm of Hanoi, you know? You've got the old buildings on the sides, and then the train coming through is really cool. So today we're going to be exploring a little bit of Hanoi, so I'll take you around and show you some of the things that you can do here. Hanoi is really beautiful, and we're going to show you some of the sights of Hanoi. So let's do it. Next up is exploring the Old Quarter. Just give yourself time to walk around the Old Quarter, as there's so much to take in and see. Walk around, do some shopping, grab a coffee and people watch. Or an entire jug of green tea. Gada? Like this guy. This is also a good area to stay in if you're in Hanoi for a couple of days, as you can pop out of your hotel to experience everything in the Old Quarter, and it's centrally located for easily getting around the rest of the city. You can also check out the St. Joseph's Cathedral, and it's open for Mass on Sunday if you want to attend that. Back in Hanoi. It's quite nice to be back in Hanoi. It's been a little while since I've been here, and nice to be in tourist mode. Sometimes when you live in a place for a long time, you just get used to things and you can be in a bit of a routine, but going out and actually seeing things with fresh eyes can be really nice. Right next to the Old Quarter is the Hoan Kiem Lake. It's a beautiful area of the city where you can peacefully wander around the lake. This is actually right before the Lunar New Year holiday, so everyone was out getting photos in their áo dài, which is the traditional Vietnamese outfits. You can walk over the bridge to the Ngọc Sơn Pagoda, which is located in the middle of the lake, learn about the legend of the magic sword and the turtle, and pray at the pagoda for peace and health, and maybe you'll be as happy as this little guy. This is the shortest section of the video because I was too busy eating all the amazing food to film much. But arguably the best thing to do in Vietnam is just to eat your way through the country. I'd recommend trying just about everything. It's really hard to go wrong with Vietnamese food. But if you want my suggestions, one of my all-time favorite foods from Hanoi is bún chả, which is the pork meatballs with vermicelli rice noodles, herbs and a sweet sauce. And banh mi is always a solid option too. For the real Vietnam experience, get your food at a local spot with tiny plastic stools on the pavement and watch the world go by. The Temple of Literature is located about 10 minutes drive from the Old Quarter and is an interesting historical site where you can see some stunning architecture and learn a lot about the history of Vietnam during the period around the 10th to the 14th century. So we're now at the Temple of Literature, where you can learn a bit about some of Vietnam's ancient history. It was built in the 1400s and it was basically a university of sorts where people were trained up to be leaders of the country. They tried to instill lots of values like humility, wisdom, things like that, as well as learning information. It's really beautiful, nice. You can walk through, you can do an audio guide, and there's also these plaques over here where you can just learn a bit more if you aren't doing the audio guide. These stone pillars here have all the names of the people who graduated from the university and what years they graduated. While other parts of the complex were built around the 1400s, this was the original building in 1076, so it's the oldest part of the complex. And then it was expanded and grown into a bigger school in later years. So it's quite interesting, the Temple of Literature was founded by the king during the Lý dynasty, and then during that period in 1070 when it was actually built, for the next few hundred years, different kings presided over it, and there was a big focus on education. So it's actually really cool coming here to see this part of Vietnam's history, sort of the founding of formal education in a lot of ways. And it's quite interesting, as Ninja Teacher is an education company in Vietnam, we are now contributing to education in Vietnam in our small way. So it's quite cool to be here to just see where it all started. You know, education in Vietnam, there was a big focus on Confucianism at that time. Overall, really cool to see where it all started. Next up is the One Pillar Pagoda and Ho Chi Minh's Mausoleum, which are right next to each other, so you can visit both at the same time. The One Pillar Pagoda has a unique single pillar design, as the name suggests, rising out of a pond filled with the national Vietnamese flowers, the lotus. The pagoda holds a statue of One An, the goddess of compassion. Okay, now we're here at Ho Chi Minh's Mausoleum. So this is where Ho Chi Minh's body is, preserved in this building. In this area, there's the One Pillar Pagoda, which is in that direction. There's the Presidential Palace over there, and I believe the Ho Chi Minh Museum is here. We're going to the History Museum later, which is in a different area. So you can come here and see all of those sites within, 30 minutes or something. Quite easy. Visit the West Lake. Ho Tây is the larger lake in Hanoi, and Dai Ho is the district surrounding the lake. It's quite a popular area for expats to live. When I first moved to Vietnam to teach English, I lived here for nearly a year. You can walk around the lake and also enjoy lots of good cafes and restaurants in the area. Dun Woop Pagoda is one of the oldest pagodas in Vietnam from the 6th century. So this here behind me is the Tran Wak Pagoda, and it's here in Hanoi, right on the West Lake. And I think this is one of the nicest pagodas that I've been to so far on this trip. Just really beautiful. Locals coming here to pay respect to the ancestors and deities, and also some tourists coming to check it out as well. But pretty nice little pagoda here, and a nice place to come if you want to check out the West Lake, which is the larger lake in Hanoi. The old quarter is right next to Hoan Kiem, which is the smaller lake. Visit the Vietnamese Women's Museum to learn about what life has been like for women in Vietnam from the past to the present. My favorite part of this museum was the Memories and Beliefs exhibition, which told some amazing stories of Vietnamese women during the Vietnam War. Such as this story of a woman who carried a 100 kg cannon through the jungle for 4 days, and this woman who was given the nickname of Iron Bird. For some more history, check out the Vietnam National Museum of History. This museum gives you a good overview of the entire history of Vietnam, from prehistory all the way up until the modern day. We honestly didn't even get through all of it because there's a lot to go through, and some of the history from thousands of years ago is so interesting that we just spent a lot of time there. And if you are into history, there's some other amazing places that you can go in Vietnam to learn more about it, such as Ninh Binh, which was the capital of Vietnam around the 10th century, which is also just a beautiful place to go for a trip if you want to check that out. I have a video on the channel which you can watch. And you can go to the War Remnants Museum in Ho Chi Minh City to learn about the Vietnam War in the 60s. And if you're interested in the history from the last few hundred years, then Hue is a great place to go, and we're going to be heading there as one of the stops on this trip. So stay tuned for that. So that's it for this video. In the next one, we head to the magical Ha Long Bay, so stay tuned for that one. If you'd like to find out more about moving to Vietnam to start teaching English, click the link below in the description, and I'll speak to you soon in a new video. Peace.